There is a man sitting in a house he does not own, driving a car he is still paying off, scrolling through a phone loaded with opinions he never chose to believe. He thinks he is free. He is not. He is renting his mind. And he has been paying interest on it his entire life. Most people never notice the bill. It does not arrive in an envelope. It arrives in the form of a Tuesday that feels exactly like every other Tuesday. It arrives in the quiet moment before sleep when a thought tries to surface. A thought that says, "This is not the life I meant to build," and gets pushed back down because tomorrow there is work, and bills, and the same routine waiting like a debt collector who never knocks, because he doesn't need to. You let him in every morning yourself. Jim Rohn used to say something that sounds simple until it lands on you like a weight. He said, "If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. Not much. Sit with that for a second. Somewhere out there, right now, someone else is designing the next 12 months of your life. Not maliciously, not even consciously. They just need a worker, a customer, a follower, a number in a system. And if you do not have a plan of your own, you will gladly become a character in theirs. This is the part most people miss. You think you are making choices all day. What to eat, what to watch, what to buy, what to believe. But scroll back through the last 10 years of your life and ask yourself honestly, how many of those choices were actually yours? And how many were simply installed? A belief your father gave you about money before you were old enough to question it. A fear your mother passed down about risk, about safety, about staying small. A script handed to you by an industry that profits from your distraction. You didn't choose most of what you call your personality. You inherited it. Like a house you moved into without ever checking the foundation. And here is where everything changes. Because ownership, real ownership, is not about property. It is not about your name on a deed or a title on a business card. Ownership is about your mind. Do you own your thoughts, or are you simply leasing space inside your own head to whoever shouted the loudest, whoever raised you, whoever sold you the most convincing fear? Let me tell you about a man I'll call Daniel. Not his real name, but his story is real enough that you've probably lived a version of it. Daniel was brilliant in school. Teachers loved him. He had that rare mixture of curiosity and discipline that makes adults whisper, "That one's going somewhere." And he was, for a while. He got the degree. He got the job. He got the apartment with the view his coworkers were jealous of. But somewhere around year 6, something quiet started happening. He stopped reading anything that challenged him. He stopped asking why. He let his calendar get filled by other people's urgencies. He told himself he was busy, and busy felt like a virtue, so he never questioned it. 10 years passed like a single long exhale. And one night, sitting in that same apartment, staring at a ceiling that had stopped impressing him years ago, Daniel realized something that nearly broke him. He could not remember the last decision he had made that was truly, deliberately, consciously his own. Every choice had been reactive. A response to an email. A reaction to a deadline. A reflex to a notification. He had been living his entire adult life in the passive voice. Things happened to him instead of the active voice, where he made things happen. He had been renting his mind out to his inbox. This is the moment Jim Rohn talks about when he says discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Because in the moment, skipping the hard conversation, avoiding the uncomfortable decision, letting someone else choose for you, that feels light. It feels like relief, but it compounds, quietly, invisibly, until one day you are 40 or 50 or 60, carrying a weight you cannot explain to anyone because you never felt it accumulate. You only feel it all at once, usually at 2 a.m., usually alone. But here's what most people miss about Daniel's story and about yours. The tragedy isn't that he wasted 10 years. The tragedy is that he still had time, and he almost didn't act on it. Most people, when they feel that gut punch of regret, do one of two things. They numb it with distraction, with comparison, with the dopamine confetti of a phone screen, or they panic and overcorrect, burning out in 3 weeks trying to fix 20 years of drift. There is a third path, and it is the only one that actually works. It is slow, it is unglamorous, and it begins with a single, almost embarrassingly simple act, deciding and writing what you actually want before the world decides it for you again. Rohn called this designing your own day. Not your year, not your decade, your day. Because the decade is just thousands of days wearing a disguise. If you cannot own one ordinary Tuesday, what time you wake up, what you put in your body, what you let into your mind, what you refuse to tolerate anymore, you will never own a decade. And here is the deeper truth hiding underneath all of this, the layer most motivational talk never quite reaches. This isn't really about productivity. It isn't about morning routines or 5-year plans or any of the surface-level mechanics people obsess over. This is about self-respect. Because every time you let someone else's urgency override your own priorities, every time you choose comfort over a conversation that needed to happen, every time you say, "I'll start Monday," for the 40th Monday in a row, you are sending a message to yourself. And the message is, your time doesn't matter. Your goals are negotiable. You are not really in charge here. And the mind believes what it is told, especially by its own owner. This is why some people walk into a room and own it. Not because they're louder, but because they have spent years proving to themselves, in small private decisions no one else witnessed, that their word to themselves actually means something. That is not confidence. That is evidence. Self-trust built one kept promise at a time. So let me ask you something, and I want you to actually answer it, not just let it pass by like every other thought tonight. If your next 10 years looked exactly like your last 10, same effort, same excuses, same Tuesday on repeat, would you be at peace with that life? If the honest answer made something in your chest tighten, that tightness is not a flaw. That is the most useful emotion you will feel all week. That is the debt collector finally getting your attention. Don't numb it. Don't scroll past it. Let it cost you something right now while it can still change something. Because the version of you sitting 10 years from now is being written today, in decisions so small you'll forget making them by tomorrow morning. Daniel didn't fix his life in one dramatic night. He just stopped letting the inbox write his story. He took back 1 hour, then one decision, then one identity at a time, until the rented house became something he actually owned. You don't need a new year. You don't need a perfect plan. You need one decision today that is unmistakably, deliberately yours, made not because someone else demanded it, but because you finally remembered you were allowed to choose. Stop renting your mind. Whatever you do with the next breath you take, make sure it's actually yours.